When you think about the typical ESL teacher, you probably imagine somebody that lives overseas or works in public education with children or teenagers or in private education. However, I do not do either of those. I work in a private with private agencies in my city, and I thought I'd tell you more about my job as a lot of people find it very interesting. I work with two different agencies. One of them is a lot of students coming overseas temporarily, from anywhere from a week to a year, sometimes even longer. But they plan on using this initial year to learn English and then enroll in a local school. Um, I also work at another school where students have come to live here more permanently. Many go back to their countries after about 3 to 5 years. 5 years is the limit that they can be here. Um, and I teach them just so that they can get by, and eventually they can even enroll in classes in business and computers and stuff with the agency. Um, to get such a job, I had to have a background in which I had a bachelor's and lived overseas. My background actually is even more thorough than many. I have a bachelor's in English. I have a master's in education. I did an online program in adult ESL, and I lived overseas for a summer in Seoul, Korea, um, which I will talk about more at another point. Um, so um, a typical day starts off with me teaching a 3 hour class to a lower level group of students. We cover things just verb tenses, word chunks, conversation, listening, a lot of different topics. Then I have lunch. My afternoon is I teach in an elective. I teach listening and speaking. Students learn to listen and they learn to speak, which kind of implied by the name. But one activity we did recently that demonstrates a lot of listening and speaking skills was two students sat back to back, one here, back, back, and one they um, one student made a pattern, and they told the other student pattern with blocks, and they told the other student how to make the pattern with the blocks that they had. So they had to listen and they had to speak to each other and communicate. It was really interesting. Um, another then After that, my day ends there with that program at 3 o'clock. From 5 to 10, I go and teach my other students. I teach students for 2.5 hours that are intermediate level. I just teach them grammar. And we have dinner, and then for another 2 hours, I teach a higher level students. I work on a Monday and uh, 2 days a week doing that. Um, Monday and Wednesday, and then the other days I get out 9 to 3. Um, it's so some of the stories recently that I thought I'd talk about with my students is right now there's a lot going on with Ukraine and Russia. And while we see this as a distant place, often as Americans, and we think, why is America involved? I don't quite understand that element of it, and I'm not going to talk about that. But as an ESL teacher, this place becomes more real as faces get names. As countries get faces, get people's lives to me. I have 3 students who are from the Ukraine. One of whose brother is in the military, um, and it's a scary time for her. And she asked for some prayer, and so I asked my mom, who's a minister, and her friends to say a prayer for them. Um, Another thing I found very interesting is I've had a student from Saudi Arabia and one from a Latin American country, trying to build a relationship, a romantic relationship, which is very interesting. Especially since the guy from Saudi Arabia's sister wears a burqa, while the Venezuelan It's very free. I mean, it makes Americans look very conservative. It's not been quite working out because he likes to boss her around and she doesn't have any tolerance for that. And good girl. Um, Another thing is, as an ESL teacher for adults, I've been allowed to spend some time with my students. You're not supposed to build um, any romantic relationship with your student, obviously, because you know that's just not professional at all. Um, and you're not supposed to be drunk around them or do anything stupid like that. But we went bowling last night and we got pizza, and then I took them to a tavern and we had introduced them to some Irish food. We had corned beef and just a corned beef stew, which was really interesting experience for them because they don't when they think of American food, they only think pizza, hamburger, and it was interesting introducing them to another element. And yes, it's Irish food, but my city is pretty much Irish, and so it was really important and interesting, and they enjoyed it. And some of them even really talked about how it was similar to a food they have in their country, and which is very interesting experience. Um, Another thing about ESL um, is that there's a big turnover rate. A lot of teachers go and move to another country, and so they're there for 6 months, and then they move, and then a year, and then they move. I, however, have no interest in moving to another country. Um, I have lived in Korea. It was okay while it lasted, um, but I love being where I'm familiar with things and where my family is. My family's been in this city, or at least this area, for about 400 years, which is a long time, and I like it here. I have lived in other parts of the country, but yeah, I like it here, and I don't plan on moving. But it's interesting hearing about the teachers talk about their experiences about going overseas, and I love obviously working with the students who tell me about their lives overseas. I'll introduce you to one of my friends. This is Art, my camel. One of my students from Saudi Arabia got it for me. Um, Wonderful. I also have another one. Hold on 1 second. My other camel from another student from Saudi Arabia. Boy, ready, ready. So, anyway, you met Art and Alibaba, my camels. So, have a nice night.